that you respect these guys because of the history of the program and obviously the history between the two teams. So the guys are excited. These are the kind of games that you come to Alabama for. So these guys be ready to go.
Coach, what does an effective run game against Georgia look like in your opinion?
Positive yards. Obviously you got to work for everything you get with those guys. I mean, they do a great job coaching it. They do a great job recruiting the type of players that take pride in not giving up a yard. So every yard has to be earned. Every yard has to be fought for. So, we're ready for the challenge.
Last year in the championship game, you ran the ball a lot. Not for a lot of yards, though, but what was the benefit, even if it wasn't big explosive plays?
You have to play the game. You have to keep a balanced attack. You can't just throw the ball every down, and you can't just run the ball every down. So, whether it's running the ball, throwing a screen, whatever you have to do to win the game, you have to do it.
He's from Georgia, but what's that preparation been for Justice Haynes this week in practice?
Hadn't changed anything. I mean, I think the better teams, the better programs, the better units are teams that don't worry about who you're playing. It's easy to say Justice is working harder because we're playing Georgia, but he's not. That's a sign of a mature kid. Obviously he's a young guy, but he's still mature enough to understand that the same way he prepared versus Western Kentucky, he has to prepare, versus Georgia. And, obviously inside he's probably got a little bit of added excitement. His father played there. He's from the state of Georgia, but he's the ultimate pro. He's practiced the same way this week as he did the weeks before.
Do you put an extra emphasis on the early down runs in a matchup like this? And then how do you kind of improve that area?
Every game's different. We haven't played a game that's been the same this year. Whether it's Wisconsin or South Florida, this will be different. So we just do what we have to do to win. Whether it's early down success, 3rd and 1 success, whenever we touch the ball, we have to try to be productive and stay ahead of the chains.
What stands out about Georgia and those previous matchups that you've been a part of?
It's physical. I mean, this is a physical league. And when you think about the SEC, you think about Georgia. They're one of the most physical teams in it. But so are we. And that's why when you talk about Georgia, you can't blink without seeing Alabama. So I've been fortunate to be a part of this place for a few years. We've had a chance to go head-to-head with them, and this won't be any different. They're a team that you respect. You respect their coaching staff. You respect the players. You respect the way they run their program, and I think they have the same respect for us on this end. So you're going to see two teams with a lot of respect. They have to go out and play a hard football game.
You've been preaching pass pro a lot, but this is kind of one of those games you would kind of circle in that regard, just getting that extra protection.
It doesn't change, man. It really doesn't. I mean, if I change and treat this game any different, that's not fair to the guys because that's how I didn't put respect on the other team. And that's what you do when you're here at Alabama. We're going to get everybody's best. Wisconsin, we got the best. South Florida, and you're going to get Georgia's best. In a few weeks, we'll get South Carolina's best. So I don't change how I approach the week and say this is more important this week because it's not fair to the other guys we play. And I think our players approach it the same way, where Jam is going to go out and practice the same way he did this week as he did the weeks before. Because if he waited to all of a sudden now want to practice harder in pass protection, we would have lost some of those earlier games. And that says he doesn't want to be a great player every week. So, that's hard to not do, but I think once you get to a level like this, you got to respect everybody, and you put a premium on pass protection and ball security every week.
How has the room as a whole been doing playing without the ball?
To me, that's the character of who you are as a player. It's what you do without the ball. And they've done a really good job of trying just to do the small thing, chase the ball down the field, chip block, obviously pass protection, so those guys have done a really good job since the start of camp, just trying to become better football players without the ball.
Going off of that question, specifically when they're out blocking for Jalen on those quarterback runs, how would you assess how they've done, and what has been the points of emphasis?
Well, I just tell those guys, you want to block the way that you want someone to block for you. Obviously, Jalen's a huge part of our offense, just what he can do, throwing the ball down the field, but also running. And, that's a sign of your character. Who you are without the ball is you're showing the team and your teammates and the coaching staff who you really are. And those guys take pride in blocking. Those guys take pride in pass blocking, but also in run blocking. So, obviously it's always a point of emphasis, and those guys so far have had fun becoming blockers on the perimeter.
How important is it for them to enjoy it better than just it's something they have to do?
You have to find fun in the details. That's one thing I kept saying yesterday is that this is a hard sport. The things that we actually do are hard. Right? To go and block a guy on the perimeter, block a guy in the A-gap. But if you can find the details as far as, I got to get lower, got to get my elbows tight, I got to, keep my chin tucked. If you can find the details, it becomes fun. But to just say you want to go out there and just hit a guy in the face, that's not. But if you can find the details in it, then it becomes fun. So just trying to make those guys understand as they watch film, as we practice in individual periods, if they can find the details and find the fun in it, then the game becomes easy and slows down a little bit.
Are there a couple of situations where you want guys to cut block and pass pro, or do you preach against that altogether?
Cutting is the last resort. I mean, if you have to, but I don't want to give a guy enough respect to think he's worth cutting. We want to hit a guy in his face. If he wants to come in the A gap, we want to be great technique, elbows tight, bend our hips and just raise up and hit a guy. And as a last resort, we'll cut, but I don't think we play anybody where we just got to go in there and cut them. We won't play man-to-man football in the A gap.
And defenders can pop up off a cut block pretty quick, right? I mean, you're really not sustaining with that, are you?
And at different times. I mean, there's a time to cut. There's a time not to cut. Obviously, those are things we talk about, and those guys understand when you should and when you shouldn't, where you are on the field, where you are in the pocket, what kind of drop back that the quarterback's taking. But ultimately, man, I mean, those guys it's a fight. And you can give a boxer enough technique, but in the last round of the fight, he's going to fight to survive. So that's what those guys understand. There's a time to stand up and time to cut. And, those guys so far have done a really good job of making decisions when to do those things.
When you're recruiting running backs, how much are you looking at and talking to them about things away from when they're not carrying the ball?
A lot, because that's unfamiliar territory. And everything in high school is I want the ball, I got the ball. But when they get here, the first things I tell the guys is, hey, imagine if you play an 80-snap game and you touch the ball 20 times. What are you doing the other 60? And they finally say, oh, you know what, Because what happens when you get here, every play you have to be doing something. Most guys in high school don't protect the way we protect here. So making those guys just, understand that, I think that's the first thing, and they really realize, like, what have I been doing? And then now when you get here, you show them, like, these are all the things that make you different. These are the things that you have to do if you want to play at the next level. These are the things you want to do if you want to get on the field and play. Because we brought you here because you can run the ball, but you get on the field, the sooner you show that you can protect the quarterback and do all the small things away from the ball.
Do you have just a little bit of Georgia hate in you as a former Gator?
No, you know what, man? The older you get, I think the word goes to respect. And anybody or anything that you respect, you want to outdo. You want to beat them. I think hate is a word for fans. And I get that. But me in this profession, I respect them. They're a really good program. That even when I was a player, we knew we'd get the best out of them. You respected the players, you respected what they stood for. And now being a coach here at Alabama, there's several programs in this league that you respect. And when you get a chance to play them on a Saturday and, you get the environment, the crowd that you're going to get, you get excited for it, because of the level of respect that leads into the programs and the matchups.
Do you remember what your record as a player was against Georgia?
I do not. I want to say, I'd be guessing, because we always played in Jacksonville in the cocktail.
Right.
And I want to say we were undefeated. I think we were 4-0. Don't quote me on it. But I don't think I ever lost to them as a player.
What do you remember about that series?
Heated. The champ baiters of the world. And I say this, I played against Kirby Smart. So that's how far I go back. Now, I was a little bit younger than Kirby. I want to say he was a junior or a senior when I was a freshman, sophomore. But, they had really good players, man. So, you look back and, proud of the games as a player. And that's what I tell these kids. You look at all the numbers on the wall, these kids will be proud and always remember games like this, so that's what we're playing for, that these guys can have memories of a lifetime and they can have pride as they walk around 20, 30 years from now and talk about the success they had in this matchup.
Last
First,
question.
go ahead. Sorry.
How important are games like this from a recruiting perspective?
Oh, huge. Again, these games are the reason these players came to Alabama. We'll have a lot of recruits at the game this weekend because of the environment and because of the matchup that you get when you play in this league and you play against teams like Georgia and Tennessee and those games like that. So obviously it's huge for recruiting. Even the kids that can't make it. We got guys on the West Coast that'll be watching in California. Because of the SEC flavor and game day will be here and all the things wrapped around it. So obviously games like this are the ones that everyone in the country want to watch, and the kids want to come to Alabama for games like this.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.